right, so Jonathan Majors, and David Choe, um, boy, this is what we're going to be talking about this evening. This is an interesting story. That's why we basically have major beef, majors beef, because part of a lot of people, especially a lot of Black people, are calling BS. They're basically saying that there is some double standards going on,
Right.
um, between people like David and Jonathan. So that's interesting. Biblical names, and they're all both around each other. David and Jonathan. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so so I'm going to go first to this. If I'm going to go first to this article. Which one should I do first? I have a couple articles. Um,
Let me explain to people who they are, just for people who may not be aware.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
So Jonathan Majors, he's the Black guy on the right on the thumbnail. Jonathan Majors is an actor. Most recently, you probably saw him in the new Ant-Man movie as Kang. He
Mhm.
also appeared in Loki. So if you have Disney Plus and you watch the Loki series, he appeared in that last season. That was actually the
The final
I don't want to
episode.
give too much. Not, I don't want to give too much away. But anyway, just know that he appeared. He was also a character in Loki. He's
Mhm.
also in the new Creed movie, Creed 3. And David Cho is in. He's also an actor. He's in the show on Netflix called Beef, which is a really, really good show. I think it's one of the best shows on Netflix right now. So it's how I found out about this. I actually recommended Beef to people on Twitter, and somebody contacted me and said, "Did you know this about David Cho?" Now, he doesn't have a main part in that show. He's not like the main character. He's a supporting role. But this was pretty interesting to me.
Mhm. And David Cho has made numerous appearances on Joe Rogan as well. A lot of people
Yes.
don't know. Mhm. So to start off with, which one should I start off with, David Cho or Jonathan Majors? Which one you want?
Probably start off with Jonathan first, and then we can compare the two.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna start off with this. This is out of TMZ, and this is was shown a few weeks ago. So this is actually technically the second story out of it, but this says Jonathan Majors lawyer shows text from alleged victim, says woman admitted fault. Um, so it says attorney says she has receipts regarding the assault claims against her client, text in which the alleged victim admits she's to blame and says she doesn't want the actor prosecuted. So the backstory about this is that Jonathan Majors was arrested on. What in the world did I just do? Sorry. Jonathan Majors was he was arrested on suspicion of basically a domestic violence against his girlfriend. And so because of that, then as a procedure that the police officers would do is that they would, detain him and handcuff him, and put him under arrest. And so this wasn't looking very good for Jonathan Majors, making him out to seem like he was, a serial abuser.
Right.
And so she, went to the hospital. And so his lawyers put out some text messages right after. It was a few days right after, to try to clear his name. But just to let you guys know, the text messages actually do not bode well for Jonathan Majors at all.
No, this actually made things worse, in my opinion.
It did. Yeah, I think so too. Excuse me. So it starts off, says Majors lawyer, Priya Chaudhry, tells TMZ the woman in question sent a few texts to the Creed 3 actor hours after his arrest last weekend, admitting that she was the one who used physical force against him. And so if you can see, let me see if this will allow me. So let me see if I can enlarge this. Can I enlarge this? Yes. Okay, good. So if you see it, it says there's no note, just knowing what happened. The response says, do you leave the keys? Goodbye, blank to the person. Then this person says, let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said that they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I am so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you are out. And then she continues. She says, I love you. Says they just called again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper and they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior. Out of care, she promised all will be relayed. What does this sound like to you, Sabi?
It sounds like a cover up to me, like she's trying to protect him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this sounds like an abuse victim that's covering up for, the person who abused her. And a lot of times, with a lot of people, especially a lot of women, this is not exclusively towards women, but a lot of them will, if they suffer at the hands of their abuser, they will try to protect the person who abused them. And so releasing these text messages actually made his case worse.
Yeah, I just want to add for people who are not aware, even if the victim calls the police theirself, it is not uncommon for them to then contact the police again and retract their statement and to tell them that, no, that's not what happened. It was an accident. He didn't really mean it, that kind of thing. Like, that's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have to keep that in mind too. And so, gosh, it's really not looking good for this dude.
No.
And, yeah. So it continues, says in the text, Chaudhry claims the woman sent how angry she was, Jonathan had been handcuffed, and she adds, we'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for grabbing your phone. The text exchange continued hours later, the woman reiterating she's pushing hard to make sure the DA doesn't charge Jonathan for the incident. Chaudhry says that she has turned these texts over to law enforcement. As reported, Majors was arrested for misdemeanor assault, aggravated harassment, attempted assault, and harassment after the woman allegedly saw another woman texting him and tried to sneak a peek at his phone.
Yep.
Because Chaudhry told us Sunday that she was already working hard to gather evidence disproving claims, which seem to include these texts, and believes that there's also video footage from inside the vehicle where the alleged incident went down that will clear Majors. So, yeah.
I think that what people have to know, because in the beginning he said, he wasn't at fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to understand that the police can pull your text messages. So, sometimes people make these statements and they don't think about that.
Yeah.
They think because it's on their phone that the police aren't going to see that, but they can still pull that information.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. And so let's juxtapose that with what transpired with David Choe from the show Beef and see what is going on with him. So this is out of BuzzFeed News, which is kind of funny because, BuzzFeed no longer, they're obsolete now. But this is out of BuzzFeed News. It says Beef actor David Choe is being called out for seemingly describing, I don't even know if I can say that word,
Don't say it on here.
assaulting a massage therapist in a resurfaced interview. As many Twitter users are expressing shock and frustration towards the casting decision, calling out Netflix and A24 for hiring the controversial graffiti artist. So, David Choe, who stars in Netflix and A24's viral show Beef, is facing online backlash after Twitter users resurfaced a podcast from 2014 in which he seems to explicitly describe assaulting a massage therapist. You guys can actually see the word. As Choe refuted the outcry and he released a statement in 2014 declaring that he was not a pissed and that his comments were just bad storytelling. Quote, Beef, which was released last Thursday, has captured the public's attention and received a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. But many have called out the choice to cast graffiti artist Choe, who called himself a successful ist, on the podcast he co-hosted with Asa Akira, DVD Asa, in 2014. Investigative journalist Aura Bogado brought the clip to light again after she shared with writer Melissa Stetton's clip of the now deleted interview on Thursday. Bogado tweeted the video and said, according to his own telling, the woman David Choe assaulted is black. He describes himself as a successful ist. Sorry, go ahead, Sabby.
Oh no, I was just saying, yep. That's another thing that people are not too happy about.
Mm-hmm. It continues, says Choe did not immediately respond to BuzzFeed's news request for comment in the conversation between Choe and co-host Asa Akira. He recounted a story about getting a massage from a woman named Rose, pleasuring himself in front of her and forcing her to perform fellatio on him until he climaxed. I'm trying to be very careful. Quote, you are basically telling us that you're a fist now. The only way to get is, Kira said in the episode, and Choe says, yeah. I actually did see that part in the video, but apparently, according to that clip, Choe is actually copyright claiming that clip, so it gets taken down. So yeah. Akira did not respond for requests for comment by BuzzFeed. The clip made its way back to Twitter this week after the release of Beef. And then you have different people on Twitter actually expressing their outrage about it. When the podcast first released, Choe responded to the immediate outrage, claiming that the story was a fabrication and not a representation of his reality. He says that is not what he is. He says he thinks those type of people should be done to them the same way and murdered. Choe wrote on his 2014 statement. And his co-stars, as others have pointed out, that stars Ali Wong and Steven Yeun, who creator star Lee Sung-jin had said were the reason Choe was cast. Quote, I texted Steven and Ali and asked, hey, do you think David would ever act? End quote. Lee told the Today Show last Thursday, quote, if they knew about this, I'm going to need them to explain, end quote, a Twitter user wrote. So,
yep.
This is, yeah.
I have a video for this too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I have a video for this that breaks it down a little bit more, because now, for people who are not aware, Ali Wong, you might be familiar with her from other like Netflix movies and shows. She was in the movie Always Be My Maybe, which was also really popular. I believe she's a comedian as well, but some of the actors that were, a part of Beef with him have come to his defense. So I want to go ahead and share this video here, and we'll pause in between as well, JB, because there's a lot said here, because it's like it's a show, And like, should the show be punished because of what he did? So hold on one second. This just played on its own for some weird reason. Okay.
Actor David Choe cancelled after a clip of him confessing to have raped a woman resurfaced. The video was taken from a 2014 interview where Choe went on to admit that he is a rapist and a successful one at that.
Getting the thing.
You're basically telling us that you're a rapist now, and the only way to get your is rape.
Yeah.
What does she look like?
So that piece right there, this podcast, like if you try to find this show now, it's gone. So apparently he asked them to take it down.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, this person was able to get it. Let me just fast forward a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the reactions from the cast.
The clip was uploaded on Twitter by investigative journalist Aura Bogado, but she alleges that Choe wrote to Twitter to get the clip taken down on copyright grounds. Many have now started a campaign to get him cancelled, while others are asking that Beef gets boycotted. Now, these have not stopped just at Choe, but have gone ahead to involve the showrunners Ali Wang and Steven Yan. Now, these are being involved because they are not just cast members on the show, but also friends in real life with Choe, and this explains how he got casted. So they are being blamed for letting Choe get casted on the show while they were aware about these rape confessions.
So this is the question that a lot of people had, like, did they know? And according to this, they did know. They knew before he was cast on the show, but also that they're all friends in real life. It's not like, you know, they were just actors that were part of the show. They're all friends in real life as well.
Mm.
How do you feel about that, JB?
That's it's like you knew about this, and it's like obviously you would know this would surface. So
Yep.
It's like why would you put your show at this much risk, especially now that since it's a hit show?
Very, very popular show. Now, for people who are not aware who's who, let me just go back to the picture so I can show people who's who. So this gentleman right here on the left, that is Yen. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's one of the main characters. This is David Choe right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is Ali Wong. And I actually don't know this guy's name. But anywho, the stars of the show is Ali Wong and Steven Yen. So let me just fast forward here a little bit to go back to where we were. Because like I said, like this is just, I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, however, Choe apologized for his statements while claiming that he never did any of the things that he said. This is the apology. How does one apologize for a lifetime of doing wrong? Through my past 3 years of recovery and rehabilitation, I have attempted to answer that question through action and understanding. In my life, I've struggled deeply with an unnatural amount of hatred that I've had towards myself. Most of my life, I have been a scared, hurt, shame-filled person trying to mask my insecurities with false confidence and an outwardly negative behavior to validate myself as worthy. In a 2014 episode of DVDASA, I relayed a story simply for shock value that made it seem as if I had sexually violated a woman. Though I said those words, I did not commit those actions. It did.
So now he's coming forward. Now he's saying that he made that whole story up.
Look, I'll put it this way. This is why this is stuff you don't joke about.
No, this will come back and bite you. Like, again, that episode happened in 2017, that podcast episode, but it has, resurfaced since Beef like took off, and you just don't joke about things like that.
Hmm. And even back then, you didn't joke about stuff like that. Like that was just like you said for shock value. And the thing is that as we grow in our understanding as as a species when it comes to things like this, especially post Me Too era, this stuff's going to bite you back. And so when people back then said, yeah, this isn't something that you joke about, yeah, that was great advice that he should have heeded to back then, because we're talking about 9 years ago.
Right. Right. Hugo said, yeah, he is crazy like that. You don't joke about things like that, especially the fact that he was on a podcast, making those statements. But the problem, this is a long apology here, but the problem that people have is that people are upset because they feel like David Choe is not being punished in the industry, but Jonathan Majors is. So for those who are not aware, Jonathan Majors has lost sponsorships, sponsors that he's had. It sounds like, we don't know for sure, but it sounds like he may be recast as a part of the Marvel series for his role as Kang. So people are asking, like, why is David Choe not being punished? Whether he made up the story or not, they feel like he should have never even done that. They feel like there's no accountability when it comes to David Choe, and they feel like Jonathan Majors is being treated harsher.
Yeah, this is actually from Terrain Walker on Twitter. Terrain Walker says this is so he's responding to someone, and this person says, why is it that an Asian actor from Beef getting no media coverage and almost no Twitter outrage for saying that he was a black woman, yet y'all act like Jonathan Majors is the Satan for allegedly hitting a white woman who isn't even making that claim anymore? Funny. Now I will push back against this person saying that a lot of victims will retract their claims, out of either fear or, a misplaced guilt. But we don't know if Jonathan Majors is actually guilty or not. We haven't, that still has to play out. But the double standard is pretty apparent. And then Terrain Walker responds and says, this is an excellent question. Why isn't David Choe getting the same level of scrutiny as Jonathan Majors? Which I say, keep that. If you're going to put that same scrutiny on Jonathan Majors, then keep that same energy with David Choe.
Right. And thank you for mentioning this, all one same, because I was going to bring him up too. Ezra Miller, who's also another actor. I don't know if people are familiar with what happened with him. Allegedly abducted a minor. And he is the Flash for the new DC Flash movie. He is playing the Flash. Now, there's the whole other thing with that. I don't understand why they chose him to begin with instead of the guy who already plays the Flash on TV. Like, why didn't they pick like Grant Gustin for that? But that's another thing. People are asking, like, why is Ezra Miller still allowed to make movies considering what just happened with him and his charges?
Yeah, Ezra Miller should also face even stronger scrutiny because of the transgressions that they have committed, especially resulting in a minor basically kidnapping. Like,
right.
Why in the world are you still in this movie?
Right. And not only that, but people have to understand when it comes to minors, there is no statute of limitations. So even if it happened years ago, if it happened when they were a minor, they can still come forward about that information as an adult. So just keep that in mind. But it seems like he's not being penalized. The jamming is correct. Why hasn't Dana White lost his position for that matter? We talked about that, JB. Remember when it happened?
Yeah, we did. We talked about Dana White not getting not stepping down from UFC. I think we were talking about Dana White and oh my god, the basketball player. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting names today.
I forget the basketball player, but we were comparing him to someone else. I remember that.
Yeah. He had shared a link online about people being
shoot, I can see his name, his face. Kyrie Irving.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah. So Kyrie Irving shares a tweet and he gets vilified through and through, and yet people like Dana White get a free pass. Or then you can talk about Brett Favre. Brett Favre steals millions of dollars away from poor people in Mississippi, and you don't hear a peep about it, and yet this happens. So this is just another story about the double standard that exists within our society. It's not just Hollywood, it's throughout our society, including in the criminal justice system that we see all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Last I saw, though, it doesn't look too good for Jonathan Majors.
No. However, I came across this story as well, and I'm going to share this really quick. Actually,
hi, Kit.
Hey, Kit, good to see you. Let's go over some of the other things that happen. So this is from CBR.com. Says Jonathan Majors' next movie dropped from CinemaCon slate, so he will not be able to attend CinemaCon. So he's been dropped from that. And then another. And then it was brought out in the news that his management company dropped him. So his managers said, "We quit." So his managers quit. So he no longer is being managed at this point in time. That so far as we know. And then this story came out here. This is out of Variety. It says Jonathan Majors' issues worsen as more alleged abuse victims cooperate with DA's office. Oh boy. It says as Jonathan Majors prepares for a May 8 court appearance on domestic violence charges, his PR problems are about to get bigger. Sources familiar with the matter tell Variety that multiple alleged abuse victims of Majors have come forward following his March arrest and are cooperating with Manhattan District Attorney's Office. The prospect of more women waiting in the wings would mark a dramatic turn in the case and comes on the heels of major publicists and management firm cutting ties with the embattled actor earlier this week. The DA declined comment.
It's interesting. The DA declined comment.
Yeah, that's weird, right? His lawyer said, Priya Chaudhry said, Jonathan Majors is innocent and has not abused anyone. We have provided irrefutable evidence to the district attorney that the charges are false. We are confident that he will be fully exonerated. Says the Creed 3 star was arrested on March 23rd in the Chelsea neighborhood in Manhattan on charges of strangulation, assault, and harassment. At the time, the NYPD spokesperson said in a statement that a 30-year-old woman told police that she had been assaulted by Majors, who was 33. You don't look 33. I'm sorry. And that she sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition. But Chaudhry mounted an immediate and aggressive response, insisting that the actor is provably the victim of an altercation with a woman he knows, and suggested the woman was having an emotional crisis. A source familiar with the chronology of the events says the attorney released the statement while he was still behind bars.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and this guy he just popped up and he came everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. and nothing out of Disney yet. So a lot of people are waiting on what Disney's going to do. Some people are looking at Warner Brothers and how they were treating Ezra Miller, and how Ezra Miller basically got a pass. In my view, he got a pass. And they're wondering if Disney will do the same thing for Jonathan Majors. I am of the opinion if Jonathan Majors actually is guilty, then neither him nor Ezra Miller should get a pass, nor David Choe. They all should not get passes at all because of the things that they have done. David Choe, though, the thing is that he said he did, but then he's like, oh, well, I was just kidding. You know, and when somebody's like, oh, I did this really bad thing, it's like, just kidding. It's like, were you kidding? Because now you put that on yourself.
He was just on Joe Rogan recently, actually. Like this week recently. He was just on Joe Rogan. Optimism of the Will. How long did people know about Weinstein and Cosby? For decades. For decades. Because other actors and other comedians came forward after he was arrested and said they knew that that they had heard that Bill Cosby was drugging women back in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was known.
Mm-hmm. It was so known that even Ricky Gervais said it at the Golden Globe. Was it the Golden Globes or Screen Actors Guild? I can't remember.
One of them.
Yeah, but it was an award show, and he was hosting, and he actually made the joke about Harvey Weinstein, and everybody in the crowd went ooh because they knew it was true. It was an open secret, and so a lot of people already knew about Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
Yeah.
But those people have a lot of money and a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I bet you Oprah knew about him too.
Listen, some of Oprah's friends are a little bit questionable, JB.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kit says there's a whole culture and madness in Hollywood. There really is. And Corey Feldman tried to come clean about this many years ago, and people didn't believe him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Didn't he write a book and name names?
Mm-hmm.
Is that book out? I don't remember if that book actually came out.
I thought it was out. I have to double check.
Yeah. So yeah, but then this happened, and I'm going to share this article as well. So you guys are gonna. It's just so many twists and turns in the story. Make sure this is it's our 150. Okay.
That book came out in 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says Jonathan made. Oh my goodness! Get out of my face. Jonathan Majors, alleged DV victim, partying in club. New video of night of alleged incident. So now it says we know Jonathan Majors, alleged domestic violence victim, was out partying after the incident in question. But now there's video that appears to support Majors' team. She was just fine. Let me see. It says TMZ has obtained security footage that was released in a filing last week by his legal team, where they submitted still images that they argued prove their case, namely that his woman was not assaulted by Majors at all, and that this whole thing is a false witch hunt.
Can we see the picture, JB? So that's her right there, circled.
Yeah.
And if you go back up to the top of the article, the video just auto plays. I want people to see so that people realize that this isn't just a right there. Yeah, if you press play. We don't need the sound. We just need. So that's her right there. Now, they said this was after the incident. There she is at the bar.
And apparently something was supposed to have been wrong with her right hand, but she's using it.
And strangled too, right? Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
She seems to be laughing and having a good time.
And here's the thing, and I hope people don't take this the wrong way when I say this. I hope she was lying. I actually do, because if she was lying, that means that she's physically okay, which is the main thing. And if she lied, then that means also that exonerates Jonathan Majors. So I actually hope that she was lying. I hope that this was all just a a ploy because, some jealousy or something. But because I don't want it to be true, because I don't want to know that she was hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. That's why I'm like, I hope she lied, but I can't pin that on her unless, all the facts bear out. So the thing is that, I don't know, man. Let me continue. Let me continue playing this, but
again,
so,
that's her over there at the bar.
Mm-hmm. It looks like she's
Seems
talking
to be
to
just
another
fine.
guy. She lets she's talking to another guy too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, this was his friend or his girlfriend? I've heard both.
Allegedly, it's supposed to be his girlfriend.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is my thing too. It's like she went out to the bar after this happened. It's like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't smart at all.
My thing though is, if something like traumatic like that happened to me, I wouldn't still be out. I would have went home already. But at the same time, I'm not a woman, so I can't say whether or not, what was going through her head if it actually did happen.
She lied to hurt him because he's cheating. If that's the case, like, for one, you don't tell that kind of lie. Like, that's not cool at all.
Because you can ruin a man's life by lying.
Yes.
Yeah.
She could have put it. You know how much danger he could have been put in?
Yeah. Yeah. But then Bling Girl says maybe shock denial. So my thing is like, but again, I want to go back to the aspect of double standards. A lot of this is coming out in articles like TMZ about Jonathan Majors, but where is the David Choe articles that are coming out about him?
They're not even talking about it.
Yeah,
I know, because when I looked it up, I didn't find much information on it.
Yeah, Netflix should honestly be in the same spot that Disney is in right now. If this, if there's any validity to what his people presuming.